We're talking about Chipotle Mexican Grill soaring to a record high. Right now it's up about 9%, so pretty much at its best levels of the session. Fourth quarter sales and profit beat expectations as both transactions and check sizes rose, really defying some of the fears of waning consumer sentiment. Same-store sales growth, folks, you know it. This is so key, a gauge that tracks restaurants that are open for more than a year. That was 8.4%, surpassing the analyst expectations of 7.1%. Revenue, $2.52 billion. Tim, that also topped the $2.49 billion average estimate.
Well, with more on the business, we welcome back Brian Niccol, Chairman and CEO of Chipotle. He joins us on Zoom from Newport Beach, California. Brian, good to see you again. Good to have you with us. Investors are happy with this year, or they're happy with the quarter. Analyst community is too. My question for you is, who do you think you're taking share from right now?
Look, I think what we believe is happening is our operation is executing better than we ever have. And frankly, we've just been on a journey to get back to executing this business to Chipotle standards. So, we feel great about our staffing. We feel great about our culinary. We feel great about our speed. And I think that's why we're being rewarded with customers coming in, and you saw the comp that we delivered that was driven by transaction growth, right? That 8% plus comp was driven by 7.4% transaction growth. And, I think that's a testament to what our teams are doing in our restaurants on all those areas that I just mentioned.
Brian, great to be talking with you again. Dig a little bit deeper for us. First of all, that same-store sales growth really blowing away analyst expectations. Is that sustainable, you think, in the current quarter and maybe throughout the year to see that kind of growth?
What we've guided is mid-single digits for the year in 2024. And, the way we take this approach is we want to make sure we've got a strong value proposition, which based on all our data, we continue to get feedback that the value proposition is really strong. And then we want to make sure that when customers come in, they get the experience that they want. And so what we've seen over the fourth quarter and as we walked into the first quarter is people are telling us they like what they see. Our teams are in position, our food is ready to go, the culinary is dialed in, it tastes delicious, and we're working really hard on the speed aspect so that people don't have to stand in line too long, so they can get down the line, get to the business of enjoying their burrito or bowl. I think we stay focused on that. We'll continue to deliver really good results.
I'm curious, others in the space, something like a McDonald's, they've talked about low-income consumers pulling back on their spending. You guys, your consumer base, what do you expect in terms of U.S. consumer behavior this year? What can you tell us about how the consumer is doing and how they are spending? Because you do talk about transactions up, check sizes rising, but what more can you give us in terms of how the consumer is?
Yeah, so we look at this very closely as well. And first, we start with what are people's perceptions of our brand? And the perceptions are really strong right now. People are getting the idea that we're all about fresh food. We're all about food with integrity. They're getting the idea that, hey, this is a great value when I think about what I pay for what I get, the customization, the speed, okay? And so when we look at this among different income cohorts, so less than 40,000, between 40,000, 100,000, over 100,000, we're making progress in every income cohort. So we've seen sales gains with every income group. One thing that I think is happening is, especially the lower income consumer, they are saying, hey, we're going to be really choosy with the money that we choose to spend. You got to give us what we want on our terms. And one of the things that's really great is Chipotle is able to do that, right? We can get you the exact food experience that you want, hopefully at a speed that delights you. And then when you walk away, you feel like, that was money well spent, and I'm going to come do it again.
But let me go back to comp sales in terms of your outlook that you guys put. Brian, why do you think you see growth, though, continuing but at a slightly slower pace, excuse me?
Look, the way we think about this is we want to continue to focus on executing the basics. Obviously, January, we had to deal with some bad weather across the country. The good news is the days where we haven't seen bad weather, the businesses strengthened right back up. And so we're optimistic about where we can get to. We've switched back to what our pre-pandemic practice was just guiding for the full year. Hopefully what happens is we're able to beat those expectations. That's always our goal. And we'll see how it all unfolds over the course of the year. But we're set up very well to open a lot of restaurants, deliver, I think, really strong in-store experiences and digital experiences, which hopefully will build on the momentum that we've achieved thus far.
Hey, Brian, let's talk more when it comes to labor. 15% of your restaurants are in California. You're joining us from Newport Beach right now. We saw California minimum wage raised this year to $16 per hour. It's going to continue to rise this year and over the next few years. How else, apart from raising prices, is Chipotle going to cope with California's new minimum wage law?
Yeah, look, I mean, we're always working hard on what can we do to be more efficient so that we don't have to pull the pricing lever. You've heard us talk about things like avocado, where we're automating how we cut, core, and scoop avocados. We're working on some things automating our digital make line. We're also exploring things on how we could potentially cut our onions, peppers in the restaurants in a more efficient fashion. So we're going to invest in those things. The unfortunate fact is the wage increase is moving much faster than these efficiencies that we're going to be able to find. So price will be part of the puzzle in order to handle the inflation that's looming. But we're going to do everything we can to avoid having to pull that pricing lever. And you'll continue to see us innovate on what we're calling cobotics, so that hopefully we can make the job more efficient, more effective. Team members like it, and it gives the great culinary output that our customers have come to expect.
Totally get it. Other costs, other input costs, corn, avocados, the cost of ingredients. What are we seeing on that front? Are you seeing prices actually going down or increases not as significant as they were before? What can you tell us there?
Yeah, that's right. We're not seeing any deflation, but we've definitely seen a slowdown in the inflation. It's more in the low to mid-single digits. There's a couple pockets where we're still watching things like on beef. We're always careful with where the avocado market might be moving. But for the most part, that's, I would say, started to normalize with the exception of a few pockets of inflation that we're still dealing with.
Brian, do you see yourself raising prices this year?
We always try to wait till we get to about the end of the year to assess what we think we need to do. Obviously this California minimum wage movement, we'll have to assess how that it really impacts the business, and we'll take action accordingly. But for the bulk of the business, we usually wait till around the end of the year, see where all the inflation lands, see where our growth lands, see where our productivity lands. And then if we need to, we take pricing usually in that 1 to 2 to 3% range.
Hey, one thing I'm thinking about also, and we saw it play out with some others, about the impact of the Middle East conflict. You guys last year talked about entering Kuwait and the UAE this year. Has the conflict in the Middle East, Brian, impacted that timeline at all?
Not yet. Our partner over there is the Al Shaya Group, and they're a terrific operator. They have a lot of brands and a lot of experience of operating over there. So as of right now, we're still on schedule to open this year. Obviously, they will be the first ones to tell us that if we need to change that timeline. The good news is we think they're a great partner. We think they're a great operator. And I think the folks are going to love Chipotle when we're able to finally open our restaurant in that part of the world.
Hey, just got about a minute or so left. Speaking of timelines, I've got 2 quick questions for you. You have been at the company for almost, I think you're coming up on your 6-year anniversary. How are you thinking about that timeline? I mean, investors are happy. Stock is up almost 1,000% in that time. So how are you thinking about kind of the next leg of that timeline for you? Because I've got to imagine there are people knocking at your door saying, can you come do what you did for Chipotle for us? And I'm also curious if there's any timeline for stock split, because it's an expensive stock. Got about a minute.
Yeah, sure. Look, well, what I hope is the next 6 years are like what these last 6 years were from a total performance standpoint. I could do without some of the macro shocks. But it's been a tremendous honor leading this brand. We've got wonderful people. We've got a terrific purpose and product that we provide. And I couldn't be happier to be leading this company. And I'm really excited about all the growth that's in front of us. We're going to go from 3,500 restaurants to 7,000 restaurants. We're going after 4 million average unit volumes. So there's just tremendous growth in front of us, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah.
Everybody asks us about the stock split. we'll have to wait and see what.
Citi raised it. It's now like a street high over 3,000.
Like, how high would it have to get for you to do a split? Very briefly.
Is there a level? Real quickly.
You know what? We never have a defined level, but it's something we talk about, and if it makes sense to do, we'll do.
All right. Listen, you are always so generous with your time. We really appreciate it. Be well, and thank you so much. Brian Niccol, of course. He's the chairman and chief executive officer of Chipotle Mexican Grill.